Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management with Keith Butler, a wealth manager at Annex Wealth Management. Hello, Keith.
Hey, great to be here.
We center a lot of our content about planning for retirement, and happy to report we don't consider the job done if you're not fulfilled in retirement. That's when the good stuff should happen. But what if you haven't thought much about what happens when every day becomes Saturday? Keith, we saw a recent figure regarding planning for life in retirement. What was your reaction to that?
Well, I was really a little bit surprised by that. And this is something, what this really reminds me of, this general topic here. You know, we have all these webinars and workshops. We have one that's recurring called Destination Retirement. Are we there yet? And I've had the privilege of presenting that with Deanne Phillips a couple of times. And that's what that's all about. Because you think, at first think, oh, they're just going to talk about numbers. Well, we do talk about numbers and taxes, yeah, but no, there's a lot of that that's devoted to the kind of the soft part of it, as I'd call it, which is what are you going to do?
And it's important.
It is very important because there's a myriad of activities and it gets people kind of thinking down that road.
If somebody hasn't thought about being down that road, maybe they're not sure how they want to live life in retirement. Is that a big problem? And I got to admit, I'm not sure. Besides getting to the 150 little projects I can't get to now, I'll knock them out in retirement, but then what? Planning for retirement involves more than financial considerations. What do you find that most people picture their retirement as?
Well, 77% of Americans surveyed in their 50s and 60s see retirement as a phase of life during which they will finally be able to pursue their passions and pastimes they did not have time for during their working years.
Keith, when you sit with clients or soon-to-be clients of Annex Wealth Management, are these things that they share? Do they talk about what it is that they want to do? And do they connect it with the plan that we want to construct for them?
Well, the answer that I always love to give is it depends. And what it depends on, I think, is this. It often is, are you running away from something or are you running to something? A lot of people are retiring because they hate their job, because they're just done. They're physically exhausted. They are just ready. I can't do this anymore. So they're running away from that job situation. I think those people plan a lot less as to what will fill their time because they're focused on getting away from something. Other people are retiring to run to something, and that is maybe a passion, a charitable endeavor, a hobby that they really want to spend more time doing that they've really enjoyed. Maybe they've created some sort of a bucket list in traveling and they want to get to that. So I think it depends on whether or not they're running to or running away.
We're with Keith Butler, a wealth manager at Annex Wealth Management. Planning for retirement, important. Planning for life in retirement is important as well. 87% of individuals in their 50s and 60s who work with a financial professional have discussed an investment strategy for retirement, putting the plan together. But just a little over half have discussed budgeting for their favorite activities. Do they need budgets as they head into retirement?
It depends. Because part of it, and seriously, because part of it is how strong is the financial plan. I mean, we work with folks all across the spectrum. Some people have, frankly, they got all the money in the world. Do they need a budget? No. Because some people, they don't spend. That's just not their nature. They've got plenty of money. They'll just get what they want, get what they need, and then they'll be happy. Other people whose financial plan may be successful, but it doesn't have a tremendous amount of flexibility, they probably should budget to make sure that stays on track. That's something that we help them with, because every time we get together for a meeting with our clients, whether it's a couple times a year or whatever, we go through the financial plan. We update it so that if anything starts to get off track, we can catch it early. It's sort of like, the analogy to a doctor. If something's going wrong, you want to catch it in stage one.
As a wealth manager, what is it that you'd like to hear from a soon-to-be client of Annex Wealth Management when it comes to how they want to live their second act in retirement? If you talk to a doctor, they'll say they want to hear everything, as you mentioned. Nothing's held back. Is the same when we're designing a plan for them?
I think so, because one of the many things that goes into the financial plan, maybe the hardest to determine, is really half the equation. That's how much do you spend. And when we put together a financial plan, the income is fairly easy to determine. While you're working, you got your paycheck. When you're retired, you may have Social Security, you might have a pension. We can tell exactly what you have coming in. How much is going out? Depends, does the refrigerator break down? Do you need a new roof? So I think one of the things that we need to help them determine is what are those living expenses going to be? Your world is changing because you'll have a lot more time on your hands after you retire. And trying to figure out exactly what that spending is going to be will be a really key component. So I think once we have that conversation and we talk about all these things, we can identify things like, maybe we should build in an extra, I'll make up a number, $15,000 a year for travel for the next 15 years. Maybe you don't do it in your 80s. but for the next 15 years, the so-called go-go years, maybe we want to build out some more. So in that conversation, it may draw out things. We say, hey, let's put this in as a separate spending figure and let's check that against the plan.
Folks, this is what we plan for. This is what we're good at, and we'd love to help you achieve the retirement you desire. We're ready with investment and retirement planning, tax planning, and estate planning. We do it as a fee-only fiduciary. Want you to know the difference? Our website, annexwealth.com. Click that Get Started button. Keith Butler, Wealth Manager at Annex Wealth Management. Thanks for your insight.
My pleasure.